All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. We're talking NFL football, and it's Super Bowl weekend, the last NFL game of the year. Heck, the last football game of the year. It's marked by the commercials. It's marked by the halftime shows, and that is where my co-host comes in. The man that Usher recruited to go, yeah, in his halftime show. My co-host, Fresh. How you doing?
I'm still waiting to get that check for all the time that verbiage is being used. But hey, Haps, I'm doing great. Super Bowl, last football game of the year for anything. Soak it in, enjoy it. Can't believe the season's sort of blown by. Mid-February now. We started talking about football back in July and August, and here we are, and it just absolutely disappeared. But excited for Sunday.
Yeah, Fresh. We got the 49ers facing off with the Kansas City Chiefs. And as you would say, you're taking that, rewind it back, Fresh and Hats. I'm not even going to finish the lyrics there for you, Freshly. So, hey, at the time of record right now, folks, we're looking at San Francisco is -1.5 in this game. That's a little shocking to me right there. I was shocked to see that San Francisco's the favorite in this game, which is really, really weird right now. So, hey, before we get rolling too, though, Fresh, before we get diving into the game, ladies and gentlemen, if you can help, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, get notified every single time we drop a new episode right here on the Spinnable Sports channel. But Fresh, let's get diving into this game right here.
I mean, the 49ers, obviously, quote-unquote, according to them, get no respect, but they've been favored in, 20 straight games, so enough of that nonsense. This is a battle of powerhouses. Some Super Bowls, you have that, Cinderella team that makes that magical run to get to the Super Bowl, and sort of everyone's tying on like, oh, this is so great, I want to see them to win, and this year it's not the case. You got two powerhouse football teams who have just week over week been resilient, found ways to dominate in different fashions. You kind of look at the 49ers starting off with, we hear the story about Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant coming in here, but he was getting it done, scrapping together wins at Iowa State back in the day. He plays within the system, and the more you watch it, what Matt Campbell ran at Iowa State and what Shanahan runs with the 49ers are very similar. It's tight end heavy, play action, stretch run game. Breece Hall played on that team. They were, David Montgomery played for Iowa State with Brock Purdy. He's played with guys who are in the NFL doing things. They had offensive linemen just, plug and play. Tight ends, Kohler was a big player. You come here to San Francisco, he's running the exact same offense, but I think with better players across the board. So it was an easy plug and play, and there's a reason why when you started seeing the Trey Lances, the Garoppolos, and Shanahan realized that, a couple of years back, Brock Purdy was the best quarterback on the roster. He was the third stringer. It's because he'd been that kind of, similar setting for the past, 4 or 5 years at Iowa State. And that taking the NFL and where they've gotten him now, you put in Christian McCaffrey at running back. You got, Juszczyk there at fullback / whatever you want to call him, all-around player. George Kittle's an amazing tight end. A bunch of, beasts there on the offensive line. Ayuk, Debo, a host of receivers who just make plays. They're really, some guys who are resilient in that 49er offense. It just really works. So, I mean, a big Brock Purdy might be the only quote-unquote Cinderella you have in this ballgame, but these two teams are loaded. And then on the other side, it's the Chiefs. Back in the Super Bowl once again. We went through the phase of seeing the Patriots go a lot. Everybody's finally happy to see them get knocked off and the Chiefs go, and now the Chiefs are going, and everyone's getting mad at the Chiefs for being there. You know what? That team, every single year they've done it differently. Back in 2019, it was Tyreek Hill, that fast offense just blowing people all across the field. Last year, a little more of a balanced offense, but the defense was much more improved. And this year, the defense is carrying the football team, and the offense has slowly found itself as the year's gone on. Their receivers dropping balls for the Chiefs, week in and week out. But then again, Mahomes still grinds it out. Pacheco runs hard. Kelce's been getting more, consistent with this ball game. And every week there's a different kind of player for that Chiefs offense outside of the three of them that just steps up. But here they are. They're tough. They're built for this. And they're on the verge of a dynasty. If they win this, on Sunday, they are a dynasty. And I think Broncos fans, Raiders fans, Chargers fans, they're terrified of the fact that the Chiefs are about to be a dynasty. But I think we're really in store for a special game. For the 49ers to win this ball game, they're going to have to really play a full 4 quarters. And what I mean is they had them beat back in 2019, and the offense kind of disappeared late, and the defense gave up a couple, big time plays, but the offense failed late. They couldn't put the Chiefs away, and they ended up losing. Now, fast forward, actually rewind a couple years back, past that. Kyle Shanahan was the OC in the Falcons 28-3 game. He blew it versus the Chiefs, 3 or 4, 5, 2019, 2020. Does he do it again? Does the offense fail them down the stretch? Has he learned from those mistakes of how do I just get first downs? How do I keep the offense going for a full 4 quarters to keep my team alive and to be able to hold on to a lead and prevail and win? I mean, that's the biggest test. You know what you're going to get from this 49er offense. They're going to be who they are for the first 3 quarters. Where are they in the fourth quarter? How does this offense show up? How does Shanahan change and learn? Obviously his dad was head coach of the Broncos. They won a couple back-to-backs. He was there on the sideline for those. He's lost with the Falcons. He's lost already with the Niners once. How does he use those experiences to prepare him for this game in Las Vegas? Because if they lose, does some of the luster of his coaching acumen and his philosophy sort of fall off, especially if it's a lack of offense in the second half and not finishing a football game? Does he start taking some of that credit of, you're great in the regular season, but you don't show up when it matters in the Super Bowl? And that could hang over the rest of your career as just not having that finishing touch. Kind of like Andy Reid had. He never had that finishing touch. So I'm really focused on that. Defensively, how does this 49er defense find ways to stop Travis Kelce and Isaiah Pacheco? You got to contain them because outside of that, Bryce has had a good year. I don't trust MVS. I don't really trust Tony, Sky Moore, whoever, Sky Moore's not playing, but what other host of receivers are going to be out there? Let them do their thing, keep them open. But how do you take down Kelce and Pacheco? Because those two dudes are machines right now, running hard, catching passes, clutch when they have to be. What does the 49er defense do to get them off the field? Where's Greenlaw and Fred Warner at the linebacker position? How are the two of them going to neutralize those 2 playmakers for the Chiefs? Because that's what it'll come down to. The 2 linebackers and the 2 playmakers. Where does Bosa come into play? How does Bosa's pass rush affect Patrick Mahomes? And the guy we thought we were going to see, Chase Young, rookie year, obviously in Washington, got injured. Now he's in San Francisco, and versus the Lions, looked like he kind of took a couple plays off. Does he actually take advantage of the opportunity to show up and make a play, or does he fade and take his career with him? I want to see what Chase Young does on the field. Does he actually become an impact player? Because the rest of the defensive line for San Francisco is pretty solid, Armstead, etc. Does Chase Young take advantage of the spotlight and the platform to re-announce himself as a premier player, or does he kind of get caught as just a fading guy, just another dude? Because if he shows up, that adds that 2-pronged pass rush to get after Mahomes to really shorten that opportunity. Because right now the tackles for the Chiefs aren't the greatest. And if you can sort of collapse down that pocket, it does create some problems for the Chiefs offense. So that's what I'm looking from that perspective. This 49er defense, is there some pride behind them, and can they come in here and show up? Looking at Kansas City, every single week we kind of count them out like, all right, they just don't have enough offense. They don't have this, they don't have that. And here they are. The way that Kelce and Mahomes were in sync versus Baltimore was, I think, poetic. It was pretty dang fantastic. It was vintage, actually, probably is a better word to use. The way that Kelce was making catches, Mahomes just finding them on key third and fourth downs. Just moving the ball. They don't need 30 and 40 yards. They just need those 8 to 10, 7 to 8, routes. Get them in there, keep moving the chains, and just sort of drain the clock, drain the defense, and put points on the board in the end. What kind of special moment has Mahomes had? He's going to be fully healthy coming into this ballgame. If you remember last year, he had that bad calf issue, which reared its ugly head in the second half, and it kind of slowed down until he got some more rehab during halftime, and then in the second half sort of took off and was able to finish the game. He's coming in fully healthy. His legs always made him a special player. He's not going to be like a Lamar Jackson or Michael Vick where he's going to run all over, and put up massive gains, but his mobility in the pocket, kind of like Tom Brady, where his feet, the way he moves, just gives him more time, kind of like floats back there and lets receivers get open. That mobility is going to be pretty important. And if he can sort of keep that mobility going, it just keeps that magic flowing. You can't deny the guy. He's an amazing quarterback, and he makes players better around him. I think Rashee Rice is going to have a big ball game because they're going to spend so much time focusing on Travis Kelce and Pacheco, trying to shut them down. And a silent little player, if Jerick McKinnon gets cleared in time of kickoff, Right now, he's been activated in that 21-day window. Obviously, he's trying to focus to get playing. Watch for him to really step up and play and be that kind of third down back out of the backfield to get some of those big time receptions to really help. The unsung heroes of the Chiefs offense is kind of what makes them move. They don't have the star power across the board as the 49ers do, but they have guys who just somehow have continued to show up week in and week out and get it done. I think the painful loss to the Raiders at home on Christmas Day has energized this offense and given them sort of a refocus moment. But I also think the Christmas Day loss to Baltimore for the 49ers gave them that extra energy and drive to get through. If they didn't lose to the 49ers, I think that they would have – I mean, if they didn't lose to the Ravens, I think the 49ers would have lost to the Lions, but they had that extra drive. So both these teams, that Christmas losses, have found that extra win. And I think it's really more profound for the Chiefs offense where they have found ways to get confident and catch the football. It's a run as much as we want to say it's a run first with Pacheco, Mahomes is still the key to the whole thing. I expect him and Kelce to have a fun afternoon and go out and put on a nice little show. It's Vegas, obviously. Taylor Swift probably going to be in the building, and I think that that's going to give them more incentive to go out there and do their thing. And knowing that they have a legacy to hang on up in the rafters forever, as not just Chiefs legends but NFL legends themselves. This is going to be a lower scoring game than last year. I think both defenses are going to show up and make plays. But I have more confidence in Mahomes and that resilient Chief offense, the veterans in that offense, to get it done. Now, watching over the weekend, you kind of put the Super Bowl replays on, and it's watching the last time these two teams met in February of 2020. And there's a bit of George Kittle. He's like, at the very end of the game, man, I'm going to be back. I'm going to be back here. We're going to be back here. And I'm going to be back here with a vengeance. So I think George Kittle's going to make himself known very early. And if the Chiefs can find ways to contain him, they will run away with this game. But if they give George Kittle some room, it could be a late fourth quarter game and really be down to the wire. I trust the coaching of the Chiefs a little bit more. I think both these teams are very well balanced. I think Kansas City wins 27-24 on a late drive from Mahomes. Kelce will catch the game-winning touchdown. But this will be going back and forth, a very tight football game. I think it's going to be a very slow-starting game, too. Last year we saw a lot of touchdowns early. I think this game there's going to be a lot more slow starting, getting into the groove of the football game. Defenses showing up early. And as the game progresses, you start seeing some points. But just Mahomes is just too lethal in the pocket. I think him and Kelce start finding the hookup late in the second half, and that's going to be the deciding factor. But we are going to have a fun Sunday in Vegas. You can bet on that. I think this is going to be another classic game, and it's going to be something worth watching the full 60 minutes for.
Right. So one thing San Francisco can't do is they can't have what we've seen of them having these slow starts. You take a look. It took them a little bit to get going against the Packers a couple weeks ago. And then really, you take a look at that Lions game. And that Lions game, man, the 49ers really, I feel like you catch a break in the fact that you're even there. And you take a look at what they have as an offense. You have Purdy. What can we say about him that hasn't been said already? He's been the right quarterback to run Shanahan's offense. Christian McCaffrey is probably one of the best trades, picking him up out of the Carolina Panthers as well. You got Debo and Ayuk on the outside, and then up the middle, it's hey diddle diddle, it's Kittle up the middle. So I'm looking at this going, where is Kansas City going to force the Niners to beat them? I think that they're the 49ers' best opportunity. I know everyone wants to talk about quarterback, but I think it's going to squarely rest on Christian McCaffrey's shoulders. Christian McCaffrey is going to have to run the football. He's going to have I'm going to say this, and I'm going to probably break it down to a way easier level than it needs to be. For the 49ers to win this game, they have to have at least 100 yards out of Christian McCaffrey. Now, if they said, if you told me, okay, McCaffrey has 90 and Elijah Mitchell winds up with 85 and Brock Purdy winds up with 40, some weird combination like that, I could see that there. That's almost 200 yards, if not over 200 yards rushing real quick. But if Christian McCaffrey goes off in this game, I think that's really going to be where they can make some way with Kansas City, and it's really got to be the pass rush. It's like you said, Bosa, Chase Young, those two guys, they got to do something after this. Fred Warner has been fantastic throughout this playoffs, patrolling the middle of the field right there, keeping them outside, and what they're able to do. Again, Kansas City has really become like a 3-person team here. You got Patrick Mahomes, obviously, you got Pacheco, and then you talk about Rice and Kelce there as well for the skill positions. Kelce's been targeted 27 times already. He's having an amazing playoff so far. Everyone wanted to say Kelce was washed up or wasn't like the number one tight end in the NFL this year. It sees what he's doing during the playoffs, and he's just completely owning every defense out there. Like, Mahomes is going to go to him, and no one can stop him. Rashid Rice has been a nice addition. You take a look; he's got 25 targets on the playoffs so far. 20 receptions for 223. One of those two guys has got to be completely shut down. And then you want to force somebody else with the Chiefs to step up and have to be, whether it's Hardman, whether that would be Clyde Edwards-Helaire, whether that be, someone like Justin Watson. One of those guys. You want to force one of those guys to really step up and beat you as the 49ers. I just can't get behind really believing in the Niners. And the reason why I say that, it's not because I don't think this is a really good football team. I actually think it's a great football team. I think that if San Francisco was matched up against anyone else other than Kansas City, I think I would be taking the Niners in this football game. But just like I've always quoted you before, Fresh, when we started this playoff run, I've been quoting you songs, I've been quoting you movies, I've been quoting you pro wrestling, I've been quoting you everything. I was quoting you Usher earlier today. And again, I'm going to go back to the number one thing, the one thing I learned from the nature boy Ric Flair, and that is always the one statement. To be the man, you must beat the man. So Kansas City is the man. And for San Francisco to be wanting to be taken seriously, they got to go through it. That's who you got to go through. It's the same thing. I look back at Peyton Manning and Indianapolis Colts. Who did they have to go through? They always had to go through Tom Brady and the Patriots. And a lot of times they failed to do that. But in order for them to get to the point that they would like to get to be considered as one of the great teams in the NFL, they have to go through Kansas City. Or like you were talking about, it starts to take the luster off of Kyle Shanahan. I don't necessarily say Andy Reid. I think Andy Reid, you see what he was able to do later on in his career as he moved to Kansas City. But is Kyle Shanahan this generation's Marv Levy? Someone like out of Buffalo, where you make it to the game and great, you have an amazing run through your side of the playoff bracket, and then it's always something that trips you up in the big game. Now, again, he's got to go to 4 Super Bowls and make it, but he's been to 2 already, and he has 2 real big criticisms about 28-3, and then that loss a couple years ago. I don't know, man. There's some concerns that I have with it. I got Kansas City winning this game. And again, until someone proves me differently, until the 49ers beat them, I'm taking it. So I'm thinking here, Fresh, I'm going to go 31-24 in this football game. Give me Kansas City 31-24 by the 49ers. There's going to be some points put up in this game. That would actually also have the over come in. The over-under is set 47. So I got the over coming in this game.
I mean, going back to the last time they met, there's definitely bad blood between both these teams when it comes to this game, so it's going to be interesting to watch. But if you look down just position-wise and who has the advantage, quarterback, obviously the Chiefs. Running back, we're going to give it to the 49ers. Tight end, I think, is a push because both those two are very elite. Offensive line, I got to give it to the 49ers. Receivers, got to go to the 49ers. Defensive line, I got to give it to the 49ers. Linebackers, 49ers. Secondary has to go to the Chiefs. Kicking game goes to the Chiefs. Coaching goes to the Chiefs. Now, position groups are great, but the coaching, we've already mentioned it. That's where this comes into play. It's not just Andy Reid. Spagnuolo has done an amazing job with that defense, and his team's prepared. He took 2 Giants defenses and shut down Tom Brady twice. He knows what he's doing. The guys are ready to play. And I think that's a deciding factor that you have to make sure you factor into this football game, is that the brains of the sideline have an impact on getting those players in position. And if they do what they're told and their assignment football is taken care of and they tackle, they should be okay. We're going to see a great, another matchup of the minds here when it comes to this football game, and that's really exciting. And on the side note, it is a love story. Taylor Swift showing up, if Kelce's there, if there's obviously betting odds on the proposal on the field at the end of the game, just adding the whole spectacle of this Super Bowl. It's definitely a lot of the line in Vegas, and you know what? You just got to come out there and roll the dice.
You take a look, and Fresh, you go from anywhere from quoting bad blood to, I look at you and there must be a blank space in between you and your heart for Taylor Swift right there, man.
She's beautiful.
She's a nice looking young lady here. She's class act right there. Very, very, very fascinating by all of this. How many times do you think that they show, if you're setting the line for Vegas, how many different times do they show Taylor Swift in this game?
You know what? Because I want to have people go get pissed off and be angry and be a bunch of idiots on Twitter.
Yeah.
I want to show them a lot because I just want to have them pissed off and angry. Because you know what? The people who get mad at it, I don't understand why. I would take give me 9.5 as the line, but I would definitely take the over.
I'm
enjoy it, embrace it. It's cool. It's amazing. It's grown the entire game. It just adds a whole extra element to it where we're blending pop culture and sports.
Yeah, if they're putting a single digit on that number, I'm hammering the over multiple times. I thought my line would have been closer to like 18.5 or 19.5. Like,
I mean, she is flying in from Japan if she gets there, so she might be a little tired, so they probably don't want to have her on in camera the entire time, but I could definitely see it being a double, maybe like 11.5 or maybe a better line.
Yeah, I would say it's even higher than that, but we'll see. Like I said, I'd be hammering the over on that one. All right, Fresh. Well, it's the last game of the year, so it's going to be a fun one. But like I said, folks, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to support our channel. It's free, doesn't cost you anything, and allows us to know that, people are watching us and enjoying what we're saying here around there. Like, subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. Leave us that 5-star review because you guys know Fresh and I, we are those 5-star prospects. Special thanks to our producer, Drew. Without him, none of this is possible. Make sure you're visiting SpinnableSports.com. Yep, that is SpinnableSports.com because the Irrational Confidence Podcast is part of SpinnableSports.com. Make sure you're checking it out there. We're going to have some mock drafts coming up. We're going to have a lot of content coming up as we get out of football season and moving into March Madness and draft season. And you'll always keep it locked on here during college football season here. Fresh, before we go, you got a favorite Taylor Swift song?
Tim McGraw is not a bad one.
You like Tim McGraw?
It's not a bad one. I mean, I don't know many of them, but that'd probably that's a pretty catchy tune.
I like that. Something like Anti-Hero or something like that. That's not a bad one. I had to listen to a bunch of like that 1989 album back in the day.
Does your wife have all the songs? Does she listen to all of them? So
not all
you should
of
be well versed by now.
Not all of them, but a lot of them. I wouldn't call her a Swiftie because she doesn't have like a friendship bracelet. But who knows, Fresh? We'll see how this goes. Maybe I'll make you a friendship bracelet this weekend.
I'm good. I don't need one, but I major respect for her and for everything she's done and all that fun stuff that she brought to the league. It's been pretty cool.
Who? My wife?
No, Taylor Swift.
Oh, so you're saying my wife?
Your wife allows you to do the podcast, so that's a blessing to everybody too.
All right, folks. Well, that's enough out of us this weekend. So we're having way too much fun with this, and this is always why you listen to the end.
Everybody, enjoy the Super Bowl this weekend and wrap up the last live football. But you know what? Football season actually never ends. We go right into draft season. Got all our preps coming up on the website, Spinnable Sports, as well as more episodes that we're going to bring you, breaking down each team, their needs, who's the best fit at what spot in their pick. It's an exciting time. Draft is always a lot of fun, blending college football and the NFL. So tune in, subscribe, spread the word, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye, y'all.